So what do potatoes actually have to do with Chernobyl? So that's the question I'm making today, and we're gonna be understanding a few things in the investment world and how to make better decisions. Maybe you learned something new from this video, and I hope you do. So we're gonna be actually talking about a book that I recently read that is Liar's Pokers by Michael Lewis, and we actually gonna talk about a very specific part of the book. That is when he talks about people that he learned a lot of things from. So we're gonna be talking about how some principles can guide you through your investments, and we actually gonna test AI to see if it can understand these principles and give us a few options on what to do and how to react in events like catastrophic events. So we're gonna be talking about Alexander. So Alexander is one of the characters that is mentioned by Michael Lewis, and this guy, in Michael's words, was master in the markets. He was one of the best that he saw, and people from around the world used to call him to seek for advice, to know what to do in the markets when an event happens, because he used to react really fast when anything happened. Michael noticed that Alexander had 2 or 3 principles that used to guide him on his daily investment job. All right, so we're gonna talk about 2 of them. The first one is the contrarian principle. And what exactly is the contrarian principle? When everybody's doing this one thing, you do the opposite. Well, that seems really easy to understand, but it's very hard to put in practice. Everybody wants to go with the herd. It's easy. You have somebody to blame when you're wrong, right? If you are the contrarian, you have to sustain your argument and have to explain yourself all the time from people that can't understand you. It's like going to the bar and you don't want to drink, right? Everybody is going to try to make you drink in some way. So that's the contrarian principle. It seems easy to understand, as I said, but it's very hard to put in practice. The second one is the second effect. And this principle states that people are going to react. Majority of people are going to react in a way, and you are going to seek for opportunities elsewhere. In Chernobyl's event, for instance, what people did when it happened, they sold nuclear power related stocks. Of course, it's a big risk now. Nobody knows which other one can blow or the effects of radiation in humanity. Right, but when Chernobyl imploded, Alexander called Michael Lewis and said, "Buy potatoes." Michael was like, wow, this is obvious. For me, it wasn't obvious. Reading the book, this wasn't obvious at all. But Michael said, radiation would affect the farms. Hence, people had to seek for potatoes elsewhere. And the stocks that we should have bought at this time were stocks related to potatoes that fit the standard of Europeans, right? Also, Alexander bought some oil, because if everybody was getting out of nuclear power, people would seek for oil, right? So the lesson here is that we should seek in the investment world for things that are not too obvious and people are overseeing. It's very easy to sell the stocks of nuclear power because everybody's selling, and it's a risk now. But nobody's looking at potatoes. Nobody's looking at oil. Maybe more people are looking at oil. So understanding the contrarian principle and the second effect principle, we can now play a game with ChatGPT or AI, because back in the 80s, they used to play by themselves. Now we can play with AI. So let's see, if we give a scenario to AI, how would it react? And would it make sense? Would it come up with some answers that are outside of the box or creative? Let's see, let's jump right in. I'm gonna write a prompt and we're gonna put it to a test. Alright, so I have ChatGPT here open and I have the prompt here. So ChatGPT actually works better if you give it context, and the bigger the prompt, usually the better the response. Usually, right? So you're gonna see that ChatGPT can be very good with some stuff, but can be bad with others. So this is normal. So I give it context. We're gonna be playing the what if game, right? I give it then a persona. So you're a professional trader, super smart, guided by some principles. I explain the contrarian principle, and I also explain the second effect. So I give the potato example and the Chernobyl example so it can understand what we are looking for. And then I give it its task. Driven by these two principles, I'll give you a few scenarios so we can play the what if game. Your answer should be like this. Section 1, contrarian. So in the first paragraph, I want to see what everybody would do. And in the second paragraph, I want to see what a contrarian would do. For section 2, we're going to be seeing the second effects. I wanted to give me 5 investments that seems uncorrelated to the event. So I wanted to be creative. I wanted to see if you can find things that nobody's looking for. All right. And then I give one of the last prompts. I say that my life depends on this game. I can die if you don't provide me with the best answers. And actually this works in some cases. All right. So I'm going to be sending this prompt. See if it understands. Outside the box, focusing on finding and expecting opportunities. That seems great. And then I'm going to tell it the first scenario. So the first one that I want to put here is about China. Let's see what happens if China invades Taiwan. So what if China invades Taiwan? Let's see what it comes up with. We don't have any way to test if this would happen or not, but it's a nice exercise. And if you want, I can go after this and see if history has anything to show, anything to prove in these kind of scenarios. Common reaction: most people will likely anticipate a swift and intense impact on global markets. Tech stocks companies reliant on Taiwan's semiconductor production. So we focus on Taiwan first. Manufacturing ties to China, Asian markets in general. Oil and gold might spike since people are looking for safe haven assets. Commodity here. A contrarian might view this as an opportunity to acquire undervalued shares in resilient tech companies and semiconductor producers. All right. Supply chain, semiconductors, focusing a lot on semiconductors here. Alternative components to semiconductors. It's focusing a lot in Taiwan here, as I can say. I would expect a lot of people selling stocks from China as well. Probably buying stocks from US Army, US related guns and military companies. US might be entering this scenario, might be selling things to Taiwan or ships, especially in defense. Also, we can take a look at other countries like Vietnam, for instance, or Singapore, countries that are Asia related, but they are not exactly China and Taiwan, right? Some of the market could change to a lot of investments around these countries to supply the war, right? In my perspective. Second effects: agricultural commodities, soybeans, corn, and wheat. Major disruption in Taiwan could lead to shifts in global agricultural exports. China, a major importer, might turn to countries like Brazil and Argentina for these staples, driving up prices. Domestic cybersecurity firms, rare earth metals. China is a major supplier of rare earth metals critical for tech products. Shipping and logistic companies with potential naval tensions in the South China Sea. Supply chains may shift. Shipping companies focusing on known Asian routes or specializing in logistics and minimize Asian dependencies may see increased demand for their services. All right, I think it's a good answer. I think it's not out of the ordinary. I think maybe it focuses a lot in supply and in shipping routes, which I think is great. I want to see a little bit more creativity. Let's see if it can come up with things that nobody is looking for. All right, so I wrote this here. I loved your answer. I feel like you focus on a lot on Taiwan, shipping routes, and tech. Do you think you can look where nobody's looking? Let's see if you can come up with alternatives. Okay, gave me the entire answer, even though I just wanted the second effect. Mental health and well-being services. Tension and crisis often increase stress levels globally, and the demand for mental health services may spike. I like this. You can see that it's coming a little bit out of the ordinary, right? People in China or even Taiwan may seek for professionals for consequences, mental consequences, or even during the war, right? Infrastructure in South Africa, in South America and Africa. With global companies potentially reconsidering reliance on Asia, infrastructure investments may rise in untapped regions like South America and Africa. China is a big investor in these regions So probably those countries would likely change their investor and probably look for other partnerships. I like this one. You can see that chat is going somewhere now. Animal protein substitute. Wow, this is actually very unrelated, and I don't know if it has like a historical or something like that, but I like that it's going outside of the box now. Geopolitical event like this could disrupt food exports, especially poultry, pork, and commonly imported by Asian countries. Companies focused on plant-based proteins or lab-grown meats could experience new demand as a stable, long-term protein source. I think it went to lab-grown meats side of it, but also can increase the demand for meats from Brazil and Argentina, which are big sources of animal meat. Mental resilience and entertainment media. I think this is something related to this. Might be something similar. Domestic water treatment and storage solution. A scenario that shifts focus back to local resources and resilience might heighten interest in domestic water. Companies producing water filtration, desalination technology, or large-scale storage solutions might attract more investments. I don't know about this one. I don't see a link between the war and this, but if somebody knows expertise in this area, so I wouldn't see clear connection. Although we are asking for things that are not really connected, I can't see how shift investment could be centered. I think it's a nice exercise. I can go even further. If you guys want the prompt, I'm gonna show you here the prompt, and you can pause the video, copy. I can even put in the description if you like. I think it's a nice exercise, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just an exercise, and it's my first video, so I am going to probably be bringing stuff like this. If you like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. One of the best things of being a new YouTuber here is that I can always answer and talk to you guys. All right, thank you so much for watching, and see you later. Thank you.